Hello, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. My name is Caleb, and welcome to episode 11 of the Caleb Knits podcast. Like I said, my name is Caleb, and I'm so glad that you're here.
I'm so glad you're here too. My name's Bonnie, but you can call me Mom because that's what he calls me.
Yep, and today we have two co-hosts, as always, who are picking up bones, dropping them, and running away from them because the noise that it makes is scary. We have Lola and Ivy with us today. They live here too. They are my Basset Hound and Boxer. Like I said, they live here, so I guess they have the right to move around and make noise.
They do. That's good.
We're gonna do our best to not encourage this behavior. And
all right, contact information. How do we get a hold of you?
On Ravelry or on Instagram and Twitter, my handle is Caleb9513. On Ravelry, my name is Caleb Jeffrey 13.
And I'm Austin Bonnie 1 on Ravelry and on Instagram. And Bonnie Austin 18 on Twitter. You can find me there.
Very good. Okay, so hopefully the chaos has subsided with the dogs, and let's go ahead and get into the episode.
Let's.
Do we have any finished objects, Miss Bonnie?
We do.
Talk to us about it.
All right. Well, I decided this week that I needed, for my mental sake, I needed a short project. I needed a quick project that I could get on the needles and off the needles, and I'll explain why a little bit later. But so I have promised my sister that I'm trying to convince her that she should be a knitter, and I haven't gotten her there yet. But I told her that I would make her something, and what she asked for was a pair of fingerless gloves. So here we go. Da-da-da. I'm really happy with how these turned out. These, got them? Mm-hmm. These, this yarn I got from Webs. It was Webs online, and it was one of their sales, and I just liked the color so well. I didn't know what I was going to do with it at the time, but it's a Debbie Bliss yarn, a Cashmerino Aran tonal. And it is 55% wool, 33% acrylic, and 12% cashmere. So they're super soft, but yet because they're acrylic, they're very washable and super wash. They're very washable. She can throw them in the washer, and anyway, I really like them. The color. It's just a number. I forget what the color was called.
Well, what's the number?
Number is 30505. Color 30505. Anyway, I really like that color. And I purchased 3 skeins or 3 balls of it. And this only took like less than 1.5. So I've got 1.5 left. I'm hoping to make, I don't know that she's gonna be a hat wearer, but I think she would be a headband wearer to keep her ears warm in the winter, or maybe just a short little scarf to wrap around. I don't know that she'd like a cowl, because she's kind of like me, we don't have a whole lot of neck, but I do think just like a short little scarf to tuck inside of her coat would be nice. So we'll see what else I can come up with, but like I said, I needed a short, quick project, and that's what I did. And it's the pattern was just a basic, I think it was just called a basic mitten, and it was a free pattern on Ravelry.
Very good. I really like the colors as well.
Yeah. And here's one thing that I was very proud of, and I've made this set of gloves before. But one of the things that I'm finding is that increases sometimes give me a little bit of a hardship, But this one was a make one right and a make one left around the thumb gusset. And look at how even they are. I was very, very proud of those and how they turned out. So anyway, 20 row ribbing for the cuff, 15 rows, then you start your thumb gusset. You get to here, you take off your thumb, finish up with a 15 row ribbing at the top, then come and finish your thumb.
Very nice.
So
I think she will love those.
I think she will too. I think she will too. And I might say, you know, hey, you could probably make them yourself. Well, I'll get her to knit yet.
Yeah.
You agree?
Well, I don't know.
All right, what do you have on as a finished project?
I don't have any finished projects.
No
so,
finished projects?
No.
Well, then let me talk about my next one.
Okay.
We're gonna count it as a finished project, okay? Last time we met, I'm pretty sure you had this finished. Last time we met, Caleb had a sock finished, not a sock, a slipper finished.
Actually, I think this was 2 times ago.
2 times ago, really?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and it's for my mom, or for Caleb's grandma, who has recently been moved into a nursing home. But Caleb didn't want to do the second slipper.
Because remember, I knit myself a pair that I'm actually wearing right now, and they hurt my hands.
Yeah. So he said, so you do it. Well, so I did. So here's mine. All right. Problem is it's not quite a finished project yet. This pattern you knit flat, and that's another conversation point. So the knitting itself is all finished. All that has to happen now is to seam it together. But the knitting itself is done. And yes, my hands hurt. My hands hurt a lot. We did these on a US 7 needle with a super bulky, let me see.
Right there.
There it is. Wool bulky.
From Knit Picks.
From Knit Picks.
It's one of their recycled wools. I knit the Bosco sweater for my friend Megan out of this, and so we're just using up some leftovers.
Yep. So it's a bulky weight yarn knit on a US 7 needle, and that's a pretty small needle to do this on. Plus, you get all of these increases here, and increases became a little bit of a challenge because everything was so tight. It was interesting though, because I made the ribbing, the garter stitch rib along the top, and was ready to start my body of the sock. Actually, this was just yesterday, and came over and got Caleb. It was time for a Coke, so ran to Sonic and got a Coke, and we were talking about it. And I had told him that I had joined in the round to continue here, and he assured me that that was not the way it should happen. And
That's not how the pattern was written.
It's not how the pattern was written. But I tried to reassure him that it was going to work, but he convinced me that no, because this is a second slipper that needs to be the same as the first, I probably should back up and take it out of the round. So I did. I ended up tinking about 40 stitches to take that.
2 rows. That's all it was, 2 rows. Actually,
only 1 row. So I only tinked back 1 row to split it apart, and finished this morning.
Would it have been similar if it was knit in the round? Yes. My argument was that when you're knitting in the round, though, first of all, you're knitting in a spiral. Second of all, you are making the structure of the fabric vertically, and the structure of the fabric was needed to be made horizontally. That's very nitpicky, and it probably would have turned out the same, but I don't know. If it wasn't so large of stitches, you would definitely be able to tell a difference. But
anyway, so once we seam these these can go to grandma.
Woohoo.
Woohoo.
Very good.
That's all my finished. I have a work in progress that I'll show you here in a little
Okay,
bit.
well, I have a work in progress. And it is my only knitting work in progress that I'm going to show you today. Living in my Mrs. Brown's Knit Night Tote Pride bag is my active duty sweater. This is a test knit for Maxim Sear. And I'm just going to show you what I have so far. If you remember last time I said I need to get motoring on this. Well, this is 2 weeks worth of work.
In other words, he hasn't been motoring on it.
Well, I work on it every day. But it's a very involved chart. It's all over color work in randomized camouflage patterns. I don't know the best way to show this to you. Do you want to hold one? One end. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So it's a top-down raglan. You can see that I've been doing my shaping and have been doing the color work. So like I said, this is the active duty sweater by Maxim Sear. I'm knitting this out of dyed by Dell's yarn in Moira's Black Rose and Max's Camo. And this, like I said, is a test knit for Max. I'm knitting the largest size, which is a 65 inch bust, which should fit me. And yeah, the thing about this sweater is that I have to pay attention, and the chart, because the motifs are so large, it's just a big chart. So I'm having to find ways to make the chart work for me and keep track of what row I'm on and that kind of thing. So for example, I've been using Adobe Reader, which is a PDF viewer to house my pattern, because when I print out the pattern, the boxes are too small. So on my laptop, I can zoom in. But now that I'm about halfway through the body chart, well, let's see, right now we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 sections of 10, so 110 stitches across the body chart. And 110 stitches is quite a bit for my 13-inch screen. So it's already quite small, and I'm having trouble keeping track of where I am. So I can really only work on, I'll sit down and maybe work on this for a couple hours each day, and get maybe 2.5 rows done. Subsequently, I have messed up because I restarted my computer to do a software update and have to rip back this whole row because I thought I was on row 37, but I was really on row 36. And yeah, so
wow.
Yeah, so I am happy to do the test knit. I'm a little concerned about the deadline. I think it's August 1st. It might be the end of August, but for my size, Max has requested that I have the body and a sleeve done. So we're gonna keep plugging away. My goal is by the end of this week to have the increase chart done, which is about another 40 rows. Which is, if I continue at the rate that I'm going, I can do about 2 rows in an hour or two.
So yeah, if you were doing 2 hours a day, that's 10 days. So yeah, you're gonna have to bump it up to about 3 hours a day.
Shucks. So
Yeah.
Active Duty Sweater by Max and Sear.
Very
I
good.
did want to talk about these. So if you remember last time, I was having some problems with yarn management and tangling. These have saved my life with this project. It seems really minuscule and like not a big deal, but these are yarn sacks from Peat Moss Novelties, and they can be purchased through Leading Mint Fiber Arts. They're $10 each, and they're just little fabric sacks with diaper snaps on them and a carabiner on the side that you just put your yarn ball in, and it keeps it from getting super tangled. I pull from the outside, and having the extra room on the inside of the bag lets it kind of like bump around and that kind of thing. So I highly recommend these. They have been working out very well for me for my color work. So
Yeah, when you grabbed it this time, it wasn't. Remember the mess it was last time?
I know.
Yeah, so that's looking good.
So
Looking good.
yep.
All right. But you know, I know it's a challenge and everything, but you and I have talked a lot, not recently, but you and I have talked a lot about growth mindset and how important it is to make mistakes and how our brains develop when we make mistakes and when we challenge ourselves. So, brain's growing, sweetheart. That's good.
Yeah, and your brain has grown quite a bit this week, hasn't it?
It has? Yes, my brain has grown. My brain grows all the time. It does.
Good.
I mean, this whole knitting world has just made my brain grow. Yes, Miss Ivy. Miss Ivy wants a belly rub. Oh my goodness.
Dog break. While we have this dog break, why don't you tell us about what I was referring to about this week about making your brain grow?
Well, I don't know which part you're referring to. Huh? Oh, that. Well, because there's been a lot happening this week.
There has been.
Yeah. Okay, so reason why I felt like I needed a simple, quick project was I got started on.
Go lay down.
Okay. Okay.
I'm talking to.
I know.
The
you're
camera
talking to the
keeps
dogs.
moving. It keeps shaking. They need to go lay down. Dogs, go lay down.
Anyway, I think I showed you last time the yarn that I had purchased from Farmer's Daughter. There's Farmer's Daughter yarn. I got it at Yarn Social for my Rocket Tee by Tanis. And I'm super excited to get it started. And so like right after our podcast 2 weeks ago, I cast it on and I got started. It's a top-down raglan and things were, perfect. Things were going along perfectly. And I had just gotten to the end of my increases and had to do some figuring on where I was at, getting ready to join it in the round. And I thought, I better count my stitches just to make sure that I'm good. Ooh, I wasn't good. I wasn't good at all. My two sleeves didn't match. My front and my back didn't match. None of them were the right size, the right number of stitches. And I don't know. I don't know what caused it. I did a lot of picking up and putting down and picking up and putting down just because of some other things that were going on. So whether I just lost track or whether I just wasn't paying attention, probably that more than anything. And there was no salvaging. I mean, I couldn't go back and find a place where it was right. So I ripped it all out. Every last stitch. I think I cried a little.
You did.
Because it was hours and hours of work that I just went. So I wound it all up again after I'd ripped it out. that very night, cast it back on, did probably about 3 rows, and made a mistake.
It slipped off the needles.
Yeah.
And you
Slipped
know
off
what
the
she
needle.
did?
I said, damn it!
That's not what you said.
Didn't I?
No. No, Lola. Oh my god.
It's all right.
She threw it on the ground, threw a fit, pouted. Have you cast it back on yet?
No.
That's
No.
okay.
It got put in timeout, and I'm not going to touch it for a while because it just made me mad. And part of it, it's just different. I've not done this before. I'm knitting it in on a US 6, I believe, needle, and it's fingering weight yarn. So
Lola.
stitches are pretty loose, and that's causing me some issues. I think that's what's causing me the issues with slipping on and off.
Yeah. I'm so sorry for all the camera moving this week.
But anyway, my brain is growing because we grow from when we make mistakes. So I grew a lot that night, and I'm probably not done pouting about it yet. So I'll maybe cast it on before we meet next time. Maybe.
I don't think you should cast it back on right away. Let it sit, let it marinate.
Yeah.
Cast it on something else that's going to bring you joy.
I might stick with some small projects for a while. Actually, I have an acquisition that I'll show you later, but I might think about doing something with that.
Very good.
So
Well, I don't have any other knitting works in progress. So do you have any more works in progress?
I do. Last time we talked about this sock. I believe I had it on the needles last time, but this one's finished. This was the yarn that Caleb said looked like tuna salad, and somebody
someone
commented
agreed with
and
me.
agreed.
I believe it was Sarah Schwartz.
So finished up that sock and got my next one started. So what I'm finding is that when I finish a sock, I have to immediately cast on the next one. Because if I immediately cast it on, I'll probably keep after it. I'm finding the thing I like about socks is a lot of it's pretty mindless. I'm at that point right now, I'm gonna do a 6-inch leg. And so right now it's just simply stockinette round and round. So if I've had a really stressful time or there's lots of interruptions happening, I'll often just pick up this because I can do it without a whole lot of thinking.
It is so soft.
It is. It is. Do you remember what the yarn was?
It's Woolen Boon in their, I think it's an 80-20 sock blend.
Yeah, this was the one that I don't have the tag on because of Gomer.
Gomer.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
But let me show you this. This is kind of an acquisition, but here's where the sock now lives.
Ooh.
It's brand new. Just got it this week by Mrs. Brown's Bags. This was Jody's newest fabric, and it's the swatch was made out of a Lola Bean yarn, and it's called, the colorway is called City So Nicely Named It Twice. Anyway, I love the size of this bag. It's perfect for my socks because it's small. I like the zipper. Okay, it's got a zipper so that none of my pets can get in it. And
I like that it has a boxed bottom too.
yes, box bottom. So thank you, Jody. I love it. It's a great bag.
Very good. Well, you rolled right into acquisitions, so let's just go there.
Okay, what have you acquired?
I didn't bring it over. And I don't want to go get it because I don't want to risk the dogs getting up off the couch. But one of my favorite things to do is shop at D-Stash. I love a good D-Stash. And my friend Marla has D-Stashes often.
Where's Marla from again?
The East Coast, I think like New Jersey.
I don't remember. I'll have to We'll get the return address.
I know at one point though she had an apartment in Paris.
Ooh.
So like,
which makes this make more sense.
Mm-hmm. So oftentimes, so she will host D-Stash maybe once every 3 months or so. You know, she shops at Rhinebeck, she shops at La Bien-Aimée, like the actual store, and so she has in her D-Stashes often a lot of the things that we don't have access to easily out here, and so it's just exhilarating and fun because also you can usually get it at a little bit of a reduced rate. So in this D-Stash, I was able to pick up some nightshades, some Harrisville design nightshades, because I want to knit a sweater out of it. But I always like testing sweater yarn before I buy it in a sweater's quantity. So I acquired like 2.5 skeins of nightshades, and I also was able to score some La Bien-Aimée Ex Mondim yarn, and I'll put pictures of mine up as I'm talking about it, as well as some mohair that I'm going to knit just a hat out of. So those were my acquisitions. But part of being a knitter or being a mentor knitter is teaching your mentees the way.
How to spend money on yarn.
So I introduced Bonnie to shopping in Instagram D-Stash, and what did you get, Bonnie?
Well, I also got some things from Marla, and it's all La Bien-Aimée. I love La Bien. This actually might be one of my next projects. This is some La Bien-Aimée sock yarn. What's it called?
Merino twist sock yarn, which is 80/20 merino nylon, 400 yards in the colorway Lisol.
Isn't that just beautiful? Oh, I just absolutely love that color. So
is this going to grow up to be socks for you?
I think so. I think that will grow up to be my socks. So we'll see. Then the other thing that I got from her stash, some more. You know, hold that up.
Yeah, this was all the same lot, wasn't it?
Yes, I bought it all together. I've got 2 skeins of this fingering weight, some merino single, and Lisol.
Yeah, it's the same color, just a different base.
Okay, so 2 skeins of that, and then check this out.
Mohair that's already wound.
It's already wound. Yeah, so I was really thinking about Jody Brown from Grocery Girls has a new hat pattern that's made with fingering weight and mohair. And I was contemplating doing that with this, but I think she really designed that more to be contrasting colors so that you can see like a darker mohair. So I'm probably gonna hold off on that. So I'm not 100% sure what I wanna do with these yet. So any great ideas, put it in comments for me. I've got 2 skeins of this and 1 skein of mohair, but absolutely love the color. And then after I had ordered it from Marla and I'd sent some messages back and forth, she said, oh, by the way, I'm gonna send you something fun. And look what she sent me. Ta-da, La Bien-Aimée bag. And now that you say she used to live in Paris, I wonder if this actually came from Paris.
Probably. Because La Bien-Aimée also, they own a well, we call it a coffee shop, but like a cafe. So like there's a teapot here and a teacup as well as the knitting, and so I think it's really cool.
Yes. So thank you, Marla. I love it. I love my new bag. This is one of my favorite yarns. It really is.
She's a La Bien Aimée hoe.
I am.
She loves it.
Loves it. I love the softness of it. I love the colors.
Yeah.
It's good.
There, La Bien Aimée was in your City Limits
And
sweater.
I see, yeah, I had, I think 2 skeins. 2 of my colors, I think were
I
just
think
one.
it was just one. The anemone, that like almost solid light purple,
Okay, could be.
I think.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So
So anyway, that's my acquisition. That and my Mrs. Brown's bag. I've got some more yarn coming from Canada, but it's just not here yet. So every day I go check, but not yet.
and our Muffy, the beavers are coming too.
Yes.
And all that jazz. So
Yeah.
all right. Well, I have something to talk about that's a little different than our normal content. And if you'll excuse me, I'm going to make a lot of chair noises while I bend over to get the things I want to talk about. So, one of the things that, as a large person, like tall and wide, I've always wanted to do is make my own clothes because it's hard to find clothes that fit the right way, and just find clothes that you like. So I, about a year and a half ago, purchased a sewing machine and with the intent of teaching myself how to sew. And I've done some basic quilting and that kind of thing on it. And mainly I've been repairing jeans, like patching jeans and that kind of thing, from when I have crotch blowouts, which has been like often. So I've had a lot of practice. But when our stay-at-home orders happened, I said, okay, and I saw some pictures on Instagram in like an Instagram ad, and I thought, oh, those are really cool. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Oh, those are really cool. I'm gonna put a poll up on Instagram and see if other people think they're cool too. And if they do, then I'm gonna order some fabric and try to like make them for myself. Everybody said they were the fuggliest overalls they'd ever seen. They said, what the fuck is wrong with you?
And so you know what that means.
I ordered enough fabric to make 2.
Oh, Caleb, in so many ways, we're so much alike.
I said, fuck your opinions. I don't even know why. See, this is my problem. I will ask you your opinion just to have confirmation that the decision that I've already made is the decision I want to make. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
So,
It's very descriptive of you.
So, I ordered the fabric in March. It got here around, because the postal service was so whack, and I ordered it from fabric.com, and I think they're based out of New York City, so they weren't in their office and that kind of thing. So it got here almost at the beginning of May, I want to say, and then it just kind of sat, which is fine because I wasn't ready for it. But then out of nowhere the other day, I decide, today's the day. You're gonna make a jumpsuit. You bought it to make overalls, but no, bitch, you're gonna make a jumpsuit. And so I did.
You did.
I had a pair of pants that I ripped apart because they were already, I used them as patches. And so I took one of the legs apart that I hadn't cut into yet, and drafted a pattern on my Swedish tracing paper, and drafted the pants. I'm sure I've had pictures scrolling. Then I took an old tank top and just kind of like eyeballed it on the fabric. I just kind of traced it. I don't measure. For the top, I didn't make a pattern piece. So.
And then he sews it together and gets on FaceTime and says, "Mom, don't you love it?" And what am I supposed to say? I'm proud of you, but let's tweak this a little bit.
You're so rude.
Well, but yeah, it kind of became obvious that you just kind of eyeballed it.
On the top.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
I was really proud of myself.
Well, and I was proud of you too. but it needed some tweaking.
Yeah. So, yeah, anyway, you've seen the pictures. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw the video. Okay, so it looks a little sacky, but I need to take this in a little bit, and then I can't decide if I want to hem the bottom or leave it with this like Disco Fever Diana Ross kind of thing. I also have to insert a zipper because, hello. But yeah, I made a fucking potato sack. Yes, 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 Karl Lagerfeld who? Work. Right now it's kind of stalled out because I need to find a zipper. I'm kind of at a loss for where to find a zipper. By the way, we should run down to the fabric store today and see if they have zippers. It's a quilting shop, so I don't know that they have zippers. Surely they do.
I bet you can go on, I bet Joann's has a website, don't they?
I know, but I'd rather support a local business and get it today.
Today. It's not so much about local business, he wants it now.
Yep.
Anyway,
I'm sure that you've seen pictures. So then I had some leftover fabric, and thought I was really proud of the pants, and I thought the pants would be really comfortable to just like have as summer pants.
Oh, wait till you see this.
So one night at like 11 o'clock at night, I'm like, you know what? The pattern's already drafted. I don't have to measure anything. I'm just gonna cut out the pieces and sew them together, because you sew 2 seams on the legs and then you sew the crotches together. You do that witchcraft thing where you turn one inside out, put it inside the other one, and just sew the crotch, okay? So I'm to that point and I'm clipping it together because I don't use pins, because fuck pins, I don't know. I would much rather use quilting clips. And as I'm pinning it together, I go, this isn't right. The curves aren't matching up. I'm getting a weird pleat. But it's probably just because it's late. So I convince myself that I'm gonna just keep going. I start sewing and I do my back stitch. I go forward and then back to secure that seam. And I go, are you sure this is right? Because at that point I'd pinned it in and had about that much extra fabric at the end. Goes, are you sure this is right? It'll be okay. And so I sew the whole thing together and I have about that much fabric at the end, and I go, oh, I'll just cut it off.
You didn't cut it, did you?
No.
Okay.
See?
Okay.
And then I take the leg out and I go, you should have listened to yourself, because what I had done is I had sewn the waistband of one to the crotch of the other.
He now has pants that are a 90-degree angle.
So, listen to yourself.
He told me on the phone, he said, I sewed the waistband to the crotch. And I thought he meant, just the waistband itself, the finishing waistband. And I thought, how in the world did he do that? And then I saw this today. 90-degree angle legs.
So, that.
But what's happening? Your
My
brain is growing.
So, yes. Adventures in sewing. But it's not going to be hard to fix. I do have to be a little careful with this fabric because it's a woven linen, so it's easy to rip. So when I'm ripping out the seam, I need to be careful. But that'll get fixed soon. So, as I've mentioned before, one of the things I've done is just some simple quilting on my machine, and I have just a Singer the gray one at home. And I really like quilts. I think they're really pretty, and that kind of thing. And one of my favorite ones, like quilting patterns, is called a Jelly Roll Race Quilt, which is where you get a jelly roll and you sew all the strips together end to end, and you have one long strip. You fold it in half, sew a seam, cut the end, fold it in half again, sew a seam, cut the end, until you do that about 8 times, I think, until you get a nice quilt. So this is the first one that I made. It still needs a binding, and I think I have 2 more rows of quilting to do. No, I have quite a bit of more rows of quilting to do. Yeah, so from here to the end is what I have left to quilt. But this is a Jelly Roll Race quilt. Okay.
Hold it.
Yeah, let's open it up. And it's just like a really simple, pretty quilt.
You've got a solid blue on the back.
Where you can see my quilting, which I just do stitch in the ditch, no big deal. And then I'm gonna do a binding where I sew it on one side and then tuck and fold it and sew it on the other side. So that needs to be done. But yesterday, this has been sitting in my closet for months. So yesterday, I was looking at my sewing machine and I saw that I had a jelly roll just sitting there, and I thought, I'm creatively uninspired. Let's do something fast. And that's what I like about sewing, is that you can get things done fast. And so I sewed another quilt top in the same Jelly Roll Race quilt style out of this fabric pack. And so I think this one is more my aesthetic, more my like color palette. So this one will probably be for me. But yeah, so I'm taking a foray into quilting. We'll see how long that lasts. I have some fabric packs that I purchased at the quilt shop when it first opened here to support them. What?
Like with zippers.
Yeah. And so we'll see. My thing, but see, okay, I like this quilt top because I don't have to cut anything. One of the quilts, or some of the fabrics that I have for a quilt, I bought with a pattern, and I have to cut those and measure those, and that was going to be, excuse me, that was going to be my quarantine project, but
Well,
that never happened.
And one of the things that's so important when you're cutting fabrics for quilts is precision. And you would prefer to eyeball it. So it makes it really hard.
Maybe we could team up. You can do all the cutting. I can do all the sewing. I think that sounds like a great...
I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay.
I don't say no to him very often, but on that one,
You say no to me all the
I
time.
do not.
Yes, you
You
do.
have me wrapped around your little finger.
Then why aren't you nicer to me?
Yeah, whatever.
What are we watching and reading?
You know, that life's been really, really busy. Bruce, Caleb's dad, my husband, has had some health issues, so we've been to the doctor a lot and just kind of taking care of that. So I haven't really had a whole lot of time to start anything new. I have, though, started, I got hooked into I would call it a short podcast, or at least videos. It's a series called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man by Emmanuel Acho, A-C-H-O, and Caleb will maybe put this up there. The one that got tagged for me was actually the Magnolia Farms people, Joanna and Chip Gaines, did an episode with him with they and their kids. And I thought that was a really interesting episode because it brought in the kids and the kids' perspective. And on what this series is about is his first episode is he by himself, and he literally just talks about things that people are uncomfortable asking and saying, what does this really mean? And one of the things he brought out in that first episode was his definition of white privilege, because so often people really can't comprehend what that means. And he gave, I thought, a really good analogy. He said it's kind of like we're getting ready to run a race in track. We're getting ready to run a race, but when the starter gun goes off, he is held at the starting line while the white runner starts. And then a little while later, he's allowed to begin as a black man. And that doesn't mean that the white runner did anything wrong. Absolutely not. And the white runner still struggled because it was a long race, and they still had to work really hard and still had to do all these things. But the white runner was never held back simply because he was black. And that to me was a good definition, a good way to think about what does white privilege mean? Because so often when I bring up white privilege to someone, they get kind of defensive and they say, well, I've had it rough and I've had hard times. And you're right, running the race of life, no matter what color your skin, not easy. But as a white person, I've never been held back because of the color of my skin. And that's what makes me privileged.
Hear, hear.
So anyway, I just really would highly recommend Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. And all of his videos are on YouTube. So give it a shot.
Very good. You've also been listening to Stamped.
Just got that started. Got that started. They're getting started it and was kind of distracted with lots of other things. So said, no, I want to be able to pay closer attention when I listen to this. So went ahead and stopped and said, this would be better a road trip book for me when I'm not trying to do 5 other things.
Very good. Well, my reading and watching has not been as informative, but I just last night finished reading Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. I listened to this on audiobook, and I actually started this the day of our last podcast because Mom convinced me to stop reading Emma. If you remember, I said I wasn't liking it, and she said, then why read it? And I said, for the culture.
Because it's the culture.
And then I just said, I don't like reading Jane Austen. So I stopped reading it. And as Mom said, we've had quite a few distractions and obstacles and hurdles to go over these past 2 weeks. And so I've actually spent a lot of time in bed as a result. That's one of my coping mechanisms, is sleeping. So it's been nice to stay present in listening to a book instead of just sleeping for hours.
Well, sleeping for hours or being amazingly anxious about the future that you can't control.
But I was amazingly anxious about the book because it's about a pandemic.
Oh no.
It's like the pandemic in the book is much different than the pandemic that we have going on now. So it's quite theatrical. But it was very good. It was a very good story. I gave it 5 stars because it maintained my focus and...
Station 11, that was called?
Mm-hmm, Station 11. And so yeah, I would recommend that. I've also been rewatching RuPaul's Drag Race. I've never seen the first 3 seasons. And I quit watching the regular season after season 8, and I quit watching All Stars after season 3. So I have some gaps, and I've also just seasons 4, 5, and 6 are some of the best television, and All Stars season 2 is just amazing. So I just finished season 3, and I'm getting ready to start season 4. Season 5 and 6 are my favorite. I think season 6 is my favorite one. But anyway, so I've been watching that while I'm working on my sweater, which is just stupid, which is fun. The show is stupid. Like, it's good noise.
Good noise.
Yeah. Observation, the show started in 2009, and even as a marginalized group, drag queens being a marginalized group and LGBTQ plus people being a marginalized group, it is astonishing to me the racism, the callousness, and the bigotry that was allowed just because, oh well, I'm a drag queen, I can say whatever I want, or I'm gay, so I can say whatever I want. And I think that's something that we really have to be conscious of when we're, and I guarantee you the queens now, especially from season 3 and season 2, who are more active on the internet, are much more receptive and aware of what they put out into the world. I'm thinking of like Manila Luzon and Raja and Raven and those queens. And so yeah, it's just been really, really, it's entertaining, but it's also kind of like, it was not that long ago.
Yeah.
Not that long ago. So
Yeah, things have changed a lot in the last 10 years. They really have.
Yep. For the better.
For the better. Yep.
Yep. All right. Word vomit. Where do you even start? Who wants to start?
You can start.
So I think I mentioned it last time about my job situation and moving. I still don't have a job. Kind of freaking out about it. I'm taking extra certification tests in the coming weeks, as well as a GRE to keep some of my options open. I've also expanded my search for jobs into other urban areas in the state, to the other urban area in the state, and looked into certifications in other states as well. So, don't quit your job in a pandemic without signing anything.
But think about how much your brain has grown.
Oh, shut up.
No, but you had every reason to trust that the job you were promised was going to be there, and then it wasn't. So, yeah, nothing to be ashamed of there at all.
Oh, I'm not ashamed. I'm just freaked the fuck out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So anyway, option B is applying to KU to their doctoral program. So
Who knows?
who knows? I might be living in Lawrence. I might be living in Wichita. I might be living in Kansas City. I might be moving to Chicago. Who knows?
Who knows?
So, I posted on Instagram the day that I sewed that jumpsuit that I've had some problems with depression, and my depression is a shadow of my anxiety, or comes into the shadow of my anxiety. So I am in treatment for anxiety and generalized anxiety disorder. I take medication. I see a therapist weekly. But when things get stressful, our amygdalas tell us that we're needing to survive. We're in fight or flight. And so that's just kind of the headspace that I've been in. So when you're in that headspace, it's easy, especially for me, to kind of really focus in on the negative. So that's why my crafting has been pretty minimal. That's why my activity online continues to be minimal. Plus, as Mom mentioned, we have family who's been in and out of the hospital, who are being moved into nursing homes, but I'll let you talk about that. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, I think we've talked about Mom's situation some, and we're just really not seeing any improvement there. But one day at a time. One day at a time. I get the opportunity to Skype with her, and this week's Skype call was she talked a lot, and she had the best conversation that I've had with her. However, she was pretty depressed as well. So this whole COVID thing, and yeah, so there's a struggle. Bruce's husband they think he's maybe had a heart attack, so we've been going through stress tests and sonograms, and we see the doctor next week to see exactly what's going on there. Lots of stress, lots of anxiety. My go-to is I wake up at sometimes between 3:30 and 5:30 in the morning, and the nice thing is I can go knit a sock or I can go knit a mitten, and that helps. But one day at a time, one task at a time, one situation at a time, and we'll put one foot in front of the other and we'll make it. So, but your positive thoughts out there in our world would certainly be appreciated.
I concur. Well, this is the shortest an episode has been in a while.
But it's okay.
So go us.
Go us.
Less editing for me.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to the quilt shop and either probably run through the tea drive-through or Sonic and get a Coke.
All right, guys, take care. Have a great couple of weeks. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.